Longtime followers of mine would know we've touched on this before, but I only got up to about here. Now that we've completed all 12 books, I feel like it's only right that we dive into it much deeper. Now, there aren't going to be any spoilers or anything like that. I just wanted to get that right up front. But, first of all, the artwork in this series, Naoki Urasawa is really cementing himself as my favorite mangaka. I'm getting the kind of stories that I want to get. Usually, shonen is the big one where we're following a bunch of angsty teenagers and quirky kids with fantastical powers who have all the pressures of the world on them to save the world from the terrible things that are happening by the adults. It's a group of cast members that kind of gets tired over time. It gets really annoying, and then me, 30-year-old man, kind of want to see more adults in my manga. And so, Naoki Urasawa usually sticks with that. Monster has someone who starts out at, I believe, 26, and then it later on goes into his mid to late 30s. Pluto is way in the future with a bunch of robots that are clearly supposed to be 40 plus, with the exception of 2 robots that are kids because they're based on Astro Boy and his sister. So, this story spans decades, a good long while of things happening. I initially thought these were going to be the grandchildren of these people. No. We follow these same adults well into their 50s, which I don't think I've ever read a manga where the main cast of people were a bunch of 50-plus-year-olds and one 18-year-old. It was refreshing to say the least. But there are going to be some story beats I'm going to have to lightly touch on to really get into the nitty-gritty of these things. So again, I want to say right off the top, if you want to check this out, your best bet is to go read this yourself first, then come back to this video, honestly. Because a lot of the enjoyment is trying to figure out where this leads. And I'm not trying to spoil that for you. So, final spoiler warning right here for anything I might touch on. Per the last review, this is indeed the story about how Kenji becomes the centerpiece of the main antagonist's master plan, where that comes from, how that develops, and how far it gets. It goes from regular, everyday, I believe it's mid to late 90s Japan, maybe late 80s, all the way up until what is supposed to be 2015, I believe, in their timeline. And Japan gets changed drastically, and it got so enclosed that the news of what was happening didn't touch the rest of the world. Everyone just saw that Japan was just this isolated thing that was happening with this massive political group that later on took power over all of Japan, called the Friend Group, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere along the lines of that. The group essentially had members known as Friends. There was a master plan that was being developed since the main cast of characters were children themselves, and they had a game that they would play, good guys and bad guys, heroes and whatnot. But then from there, further developed to giant robots happening, pathogen that was taking over the planet, and all sorts of things like that in their make-believe game. The antagonist was someone who was close by to some degree, took that evil master plan that they came up with as kids and tried to implement it exactly as is as adults and making a real thing so that he can try and look like the hero of this world. Well, he wanted to look like the villain and wanted to make the rest of these people look like the hero, but was not trying to make it easy for them. No sirree. It was insane. They also get to future technologies coming at such a high rate because everybody gets unified under this one massive group. I hope that even the little bit that I said about a villain's plan coming from a childhood game and then expanding it to this real world event that actually starts to affect the real world in catastrophic ways. Even with me giving you some bits like that, most of the story is how it gets there. And again, I can't stress this enough. The artwork, so good. Until next time.